Hey, what's up? My name is Kirsten Allen. If you are new here, I'm so excited that you have joined us for this special conversation. So, today I wanted to shift our focus a little bit and talk specifically to a group that I recently have been looking into, have been thinking about how much opportunity is present. And I want to speak directly to that group today and kind of walk through exactly how corporate partnerships play in this space. I have a couple of case studies for you today that I've been sitting on. I've seen them and wanting to share how this breaks down from a corporate partnership perspective, and how really the big game is to use your wealth to partner with organizations who already have the recipe, who are already doing the things. They're already experiencing great margins. They have the systems and processes, and so, how can individuals who already have a solid wealth base and investments and all of those things, how can you all begin tapping into corporate opportunities? So, I'm excited for this conversation because it's a little different than something that I've done before, but I see the opportunity there. And so, I want to speak on it. Now, if this is your first time here, as I mentioned, my name is Kirsten Allen. I'm the owner of the Kirsten J. Allen Consulting Group, speaker, author, all the things related to corporate contracts. But most importantly for this conversation, I want you to know that over the span of my career, I've closed over $16 million in corporate partnerships. I've worked with universities, corporations, government entities, you name it. I have done big deals and understand what it takes to close them. My passion is really to be the bridge between organizations and individuals who are looking to establish partnership with those organizations. So I've been able to develop a recipe, which I talk about in my book and in my content and all the things that I share here online, on how individuals, entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals can be able to take the same practices that I learned over my career in landing those contracts to the tunes of millions and apply them to growing your everyday wealth base, your accounts, your investments, all of your pieces of wealth, and how you can start to plug those things into corporate partnerships. All right. I have some notes so that I can stay on track and make sure that I don't get off into a tangent because I am excited about being able to share this. And there's so much that we're going to go into that we'll probably want to make this into an entire series because there's no way we could cover all the different ways that one can be able to engage in partnerships to be able to grow their business. And as I was thinking about the different people who've done this well, I wanted to break down why it really works and some things that they kept in mind to ensure. Obviously, you don't have time. There is no time to do trainings and not even to get on social media and do all these different things. But there's ways to be in the background that still honors your time, but allows you to grow your wealth at a rapid rate. And I understand you're likely in a space where you're like, I've got that covered. However, there's always more opportunities. And corporate partnerships to me have been the way to not only grow your businesses, but just to grow your net worth overall. Just with one deal could literally change and be the trajectory that you may not see in the stock market or in real estate investing in all these different ways that we know the bread and butter to be able to grow wealth. This is another opportunity that I want to share with you today. All right. So, let's talk about like why this is even important now, because as I just mentioned, there are so many ways that anyone can invest and be able to grow their wealth without sacrificing their time. But the key thing about partnerships for me that's really interesting in a way that I want more people to tap into, especially those who are in the high net worth arena, is that these partnerships, again, they have the recipe, right? Most times they just need additional maybe faces. When we think about NILs, name, likeness, and all of that, we think about sports. But there's also the opportunity, and we've seen this. I'll actually speak about some examples in a moment. We've seen examples where outside of the sporting arena, where entrepreneurs, again, high net worth individuals, have had the opportunity to tap into corporations and do these strategic partnerships. It's important more than ever now because so many things are up and down in many different spaces, these things happen with the change of power. And of course, they will continue to shake out. But one thing that I don't see changing, and one area to me that's very consistent in terms of being able to grow wealth and opportunities to make that happen in a deal, is partnerships with these organizations. They are always looking for ways of how they can streamline or leverage some resources from others to be able to speaking on both sides, being able to support the customers that they serve and being able to support the internal systems that they have. And so, any way that we can find that bridge and gap, which is my purpose and what I'm here for, to figure out what that sticking point is between the brilliance and genius that you have as you've built this uh, huge presence and again net worth and following possibly, or maybe you're just in the background, how you can use that to be able to partner with organizations who are looking and need that expertise. All right, so couple of people that I want to share as I'm thinking through this. One in particular really stood out to me, and it was Tyler Perry. So we all know, if we're familiar with his story, that he had some great partnerships with media networks like Lionsgate and TBS, where he was able to, do these deals to solely I'm not premiere, but be able to do his movies and his shows on these networks, right? And I remember listening to an interview that he did. I don't know, maybe it was just a short quote that he did, but he talked about the fact that he did not know that Lionsgate had these, he called them sales meetings, but what they're called is earnings calls. And he was like, they have these sales meetings where they talk about, what movies are bringing in what and all these different things. And I had no idea that they were having these meetings. And I could have, used, basically, he alluded to the fact that he could have used the numbers that they were receiving as additional leverage for other partnership opportunities. But he just had no idea of what the corporate landscape looked like, because if you know his story, pretty much what he's doing is what he's been doing his entire life. And so he learned from creating his own processes, but as he integrated into other media platforms, he was unaware of how corporations move. And so I thought that that was very interesting. And I'll be transparent. I was kind of shocked because I said, on the outside, we may think that everyone knows these things. However, that would have been a major point to allow him to tap into some additional resources, whether that was further equity in the company or restructuring his existing deals, whatever that could have looked like. It could have been an opportunity to use that leverage. But again, having that education and knowing what opportunities are on the horizon for you or even available for you is the first step to be able to make these things happen. So just as you may be listening to this as a high net worth individual and just trying to figure out, what other ways can we diversify? You've got the basics down. I want you to really think about this opportunity of leveraging partnerships, even if you don't have the stardom or, the face time. There are other opportunities. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is being able to do joint partnerships and ventures. So companies like PepsiCo, there are several others that have these venture capital arms to their corporations. And most times they're looking for investors to be a part of those ventures, whether it be real estate or whatever the case may be. But that is a corporate partnership that can be very lucrative. Again, they're doing the work, like they got the time and all those things set up. They just need investors to be able to bring the capital to pull off certain projects. So this is likely a familiar story. But again, I really identify that as a corporate partnership opportunity that is key for people in the high net worth space. The other one that I was thinking about as I was just kind of really seeing what the opportunities are out there is a little bit more related to what we see Shaq doing. So if unless you've been under a rock for the last several years, we've seen his partnerships with Papa John's. So, of course, we've seen his name and likeness be used, but I'm sure behind the scenes, there are some equity partnerships and things that he has going on. Of course, he owns several of the franchises, I believe. And so there's several different ways that he is in partnership with them in order to grow his wealth while he's not physically doing anything in those stores, right? He's not making pizzas. He's not even training employees. Like we've talked in several other lives about some ways to get into these opportunities. But I want to kind of up level from thinking on how you can serve corporations to how you can establish these joint partnerships. So that is one. Brand endorsement. So if there are, certain companies, depending upon your your current influence. So if you are in sports, for example, it may make more sense to be able to establish those partnerships. And oftentimes we see the spokesperson piece of it, but then there is also opportunities, like I mentioned, for equity or things that may not use your name, image, and likeness, but you have some skin in the game, some stake in the opportunities just by being in a brand endorsement type of relationship or partnership with organizations. Now, this can happen literally with any type of company, especially ones that focus in on consumer goods, where organizations are looking to get familiar faces to be a part of certain projects, because that, of course, brings more of the public eye and interest to the things that they're doing. But again, there could be a whole level to this where you're not even seen and you are just an equitable partner with these organizations based on what you bring to the table and the gaps that they have. All right. So, with that being said, the last one that I wanted to capture, and it almost escaped my mind, but even thinking about the existing businesses that you have. So, likely at this point, at this level, there is some arena that you are in business, whether that be product based or even service based. And so, one of the key areas that I also specialize in when I work with clients is how can they become a supplier with these organizations for the businesses that they already have. So many of my clients work in a service-based industry. However, this can work very well for a product-based industry as well, which really attributes to, again, the time factor. And also thinking about the team that you have supporting these business ventures and how do you ensure that you've built the infrastructure to take on larger corporate partnerships, which is a part of how I help people strategically move into this space. So with that piece being said, again, this is probably one of the simpler things to think about in terms of corporate partnerships. But of course, getting your products in brands like, I don't know why Dick's Sporting Goods came to, I guess because we were talking about sports, but brands like Dick's Sporting Goods, or getting your products and services into Target or Walmart or any of these other retailers where you're looking to get additional visibility and have, kind of more of that prominence in terms of where your products are being found, and being able to, again, create larger opportunities and ultimately grow your wealth. That's what it's all about. And so in those cases, we want to think about one person in particular sticks out to me there, and it's Tabitha Brown, how she has, and I know it's a lot of controversy around that. So let's just stick to the point of the example. We ain't going to go all into the other things, but just thinking about how she strategically used her influence. And again, you don't have to be an influencer to be able to do this. I think there is definitely value, especially with the talk of the name, image, likeness stuff. There is value in that, but that's not the only way to establish partnerships. So I want to continue to outline that, because I know that there are some folks who don't have the following and still are wanting to figure out how they can tap into these partnerships as a high net worth individual. So again, going back to Tabitha Brown and thinking about how she used her influence to be able to establish partnerships with Target, with Walmart, and get her products there. She doesn't have to do anything. She's not manufacturing the products. We all know this, but these partnerships and being able to know how to navigate them opens up opportunities to extend where her products are being sold, and also giving opportunity for greater returns and greater reach with her products. So with that being said, one thing to think about in the area of products and services and ensuring that you have that alignment with how you're moving forward with growing that product or service-based business, because there's two different ways that you can look at it. You want to ensure that, and this is kind of, it's a collaboration. So you do want to have someone similar to myself that's more strategic and understands how corporations work, to be able to call out different ways and different opportunities that you can creatively partner with organizations. And then you also want to involve your attorney and your legal team, because it's going to be most important to structure the opportunities in a way that makes sense for your organization and doesn't leave you falling short. This is why I work heavily with and refer my clients to, if they don't already have, a legal team that's not just familiar with business law or whatever the case may be in terms of their specialty, but that is really familiar with corporate partnerships, joint ventures, and deals of that nature, because it's very key to understand what may be important for your organization or for you as a high net worth individual to have inside of your contracts, inside of your deals. You may have additional leveraged opportunities that, of course, these companies are not going to willingly bring up, but there may be opportunities where you can structure your deal in the way that makes sense. So, again, going back to Tyler Perry, our very first example, he didn't know like these movies that he had were like top grossing at Lionsgate. He didn't know he had hidden leverage to be able to come back and restructure some of his deals because he didn't know how the corporate space worked. So I believe it's very important to take these, of course, these strategies that I'm sharing today, but also be able to have an understanding of how these organizations do business, and where you have additional leverage to come back and restructure your deals. So that's the whole gist of what I wanted to share today and ensure that you are enlightened about all the opportunities that you have to be able to establish these corporate partnerships and continue to grow your wealth. All right. So this is the framework that we follow inside when individuals come and work with me privately. The first step that we do is be able to look at, okay, based upon what you have, what is your best pathway into corporate partnerships? So whether that be, hey, I already have a couple of businesses, I have some product lines, or I have some service-based companies where I have team to help me be able to execute things. Or, I have this likeness, this image, this influence online. And that can be something that I can be able to use to strategically position myself for partnerships. We do a deep dive on what those key areas are for you and strategically look at how can you establish lucrative corporate partnerships that save you time and also are in alignment with your growth goals. The second piece of what we do is then look at how can we begin to position you for those opportunities. So there's a whole setup process that I go through with clients to ensure they're ready for these partnerships and also give them that tea. So we talked about what Tyler Perry didn't know. I'm sure there are many others in the similar boat that don't know how organizations operate, but you need to understand what type of things that you can ask for. You need to understand the science and the workings, especially if you've only done what you're currently doing and you've never been inside of a company and you don't know all the ins and outs and details. You need to have the understanding and your team as well on how you can execute these opportunities with excellence and with leverage. And so a part of what we do in that section is really giving you that setup process, but also making sure you avoid any costly pitfalls. Because what I believe about Tyler Perry is he definitely probably could have went back and, increased whatever he had going on with them, knowing that at the time he had one of the top grossing movies. And it was a part of their main earnings call discussion. There should have definitely been something that could have been additional restructured there to be more advantageous to him because he was obviously delivering a lot to that company. So with that being said, the last piece is then being able to work with you to structure and negotiate the deal. So this is when it becomes a collaboration, as I mentioned, between the legal side and ensuring that from a process and a strategic standpoint, you're going after opportunities that make sense for, again, your goals, how your lifestyle. So how do you wish to engage with corporate partnerships? You don't have any more time to give. And so ensuring that you have structured opportunities that are growing while you're sleeping or growing while you're doing other ventures, whether it is business that you're running, you have a career in sports or entertainment or something to that effect, ensuring that you have a process that runs like a well-oiled machine without you and that can really be leveraged by your team. All right. I think that is all that I had to share for today. And the major shifts that to kind of wrap this up that I want you to keep in mind about these opportunities is that they're literally everywhere. And once you know the process, and not that you will be executing it, but once you understand how, and then you have the team, you have the support, you have people all around you that can execute this, then you can be in a good place to start to see some of these things coming in and just be an additional arm to, or profit center of your business, or an additional arm to the things that you're invested in order to grow your wealth. And so with that being said, I do want to give you the opportunity to understand how you can work with me in order to get this done. So what we do is we have private sessions for individuals that want to get their I say companies because I know that in terms of these individuals, your wealth could have came in many different ways. So I say businesses because typically our clients do have some type of business venture, and that is why they want to engage in these partnerships. So whether it's business ventures or whatever way that you have established your wealth, how can you leverage that to be able to establish those partnerships? So with that piece, we do those sessions to be able to build this out for you. And then what we do is we take on the heavy lifting of identifying those partnerships, making those connections for you, and being able to structure again these opportunities that are very clear with your growth goals and how you desire to move forward with your wealth. So we come in and essentially be your corporate partnerships department and are the people that are looking all around you, what you have, understanding your different arms and giving a new lens to see how corporate partnerships can then be another pillar in the conglomerate that you've already created. All right, so if that is something that you're looking into, really ways that you can, of course, be hands off. Real estate and all these things are going in many different directions. But I strongly believe corporate partnerships is something that is not only here to stay, but it's an opportunity to be able to get several times over of an ROI just by understanding and knowing how to structure deals and opportunities with these organizations and how to leverage what you already have to be able to put together a stellar business case that literally can't be refused because companies need these types of partnerships for them to be able to thrive. And so I'd love to be able to discuss that with you and see how we can get your company, your organization, your wealth to the next level with some strategic corporate partnerships. If that is something that you're interested in, here's what I want you to do. I want you to send me a message wherever you're watching this and say, I want in. I'll know exactly what you're talking about. And then we'll have a brief conversation on what this looks like and be able to determine how to move forward. I'm looking forward to speaking to you about this and continuing the conversation in this series about how these individuals like you can be able to tap into these corporate partnerships. All right, so until next time, I'll either see you in the messages if you decide this is something that you want to get additional support with and you want myself and my team to be able to do that with you, or we'll be back here next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, to continue this series and talk about how you can start tapping into these partnerships. All right, until next time, talk to you later. Yeah.